Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video I was actually planning on doing this week. Last week I put together a canister filter out of clear acrylic, and I think it turned out pretty good. But what I needed to do for it was build a bracket for it. And I had to last week if you guys can make a few suggestions, and I'll try and incorporate them into this week's build. Some of them I couldn't do. One person suggested I turn it into kind of a hang on the back kind of canister filter, and I actually wanted to stay a little bit more traditional with this, and so I decided to go with a clear acrylic bracket with some accents that are going to be done with black Delrin, and I think that kind of encompasses a lot of the things that most people were asking me to do. So now, lately what I've done for making 90-degree turns is I've been doing this method, which is to drill a 1-inch hole in 1.25 inches with an inside diameter of 1 inch, and use that as my turn. So instead of having to do 245 degrees, I make it like that. Now what I'm going to do this time, though, is I'm going to make a U-joint this way. And the reason why I'm putting that pipe in right now, the easiest way I found for making sure the holes are where they should be is to put the pipe in, and then I can move the object or the round piece back and forth until I have the upright as parallel as I can to the shaft on the milling machine, and that way I know the holes are going to match up at least reasonably well. Now obviously there's going to be a bit of wiggle with the pipe because it's not, it's not glued into place or anything yet, but it gets as close as possible, and it allows me, with the tolerances that I have here, to get it to look as good as possible. One thing I found, though, is because you can't really clamp tubular acrylic, as I said a number of times, solidly in place because it would deform the pipe. I did get a bit of wiggle with that, and like I said, there's a lot of tolerances for this, fortunately, so it will end up working out all right in the end anyway. So there you go, I've got two 1-inch holes, and I'm going to do that again, and then I'm going to show you the pipes here, and you'll have a clearer idea what this is going to look like. But this is how it's going to start out. So now I've cut some pipes. These are going to be, the two ones right there are going to be on the outside, which are going to go to the filter. The short little one is going to be on the inside for the return, and the longer pipe is where the pump's going to hook on, and that is going to be where the water's pumped into the filter. So these just pop in like this. It's like I said, this part is really quite easy, and I actually like this up to this point. I actually like this build. It would be easy to glue those in place, and I don't really have any issues with it. Unfortunately, I decided to go a little bit further with this. I decided to build a bracket to hold, well, pretty much hold it in the position like this. And that's where I started running into problems. I ended up actually making more than one bracket. Well, I made one bracket, this one here, and a couple of half ones. I started off, I would drill the two holes that would fit for one bracket, and I realized that the tolerances actually were very, very fine to get the pipes to go through and be parallel, so that they wouldn't have a bit of a wah to them, like in and out or whatever. And it was just too finicky. And the other issue I ran into was it's very difficult to glue everything into place once this bracket is on. It was a very tight fit, and I actually found it not beneficial at all. If I'm going to do something like this again, I'm going to use a different bracket completely, because it just doesn't. I want to make this simple. I mean, the whole point of doing it this way is so that you guys can drill holes and not have to worry about being able to machine it too tightly. And there's just absolutely no way without a milling machine that you're going to be able to make that bracket so it will fit and look nice. And that's kind of counter to what I want to do for this. So in essence, like I said, this is probably one of the worst builds I've done lately. It just didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I wanted it to be easy for people to put stuff together. A couple of things I did actually like about this is, well, first off, these little discs, and the reason why there's a 1/4 inch hole in that is every now and then I've had requests for people to say, well, can you make a CO2 injector for this? And having a port for that would be really kind of cool. And also, if you're going to do any kind of drip additive to an aquarium, this is, again, a perfect spot to have that go into the filtration system or go straight into the tank being churned with the water. And so that was really kind of cool. I like that. And if you don't want to put any of that sort of stuff in, of course, you can just cap them off. And I find the black Delrin looks really nice against the clear acrylic. So if I had actually left this build at this point and maybe like made 2 individual brackets for just clamping it onto the side of the tank, I think this build would have been perfectly fine. I would have been happy with it. But as soon as I started incorporating this, it just went south. I had to fiddle with that for so long to get it to work properly, and even in the end, I really wasn't happy with it. But I decided to put it all together just to show you anyway, because I'm not here just to show you all the stuff that works really nicely. This is the stuff that doesn't work nicely too. So you see, I just put a little piece of airline tubing between the in and out, just to have those holes clamped off. I mean, they're not hooked up for any particular use right now, so there's no point in having it there. But there it is. It's up and running. Like I said, I don't like this style. Eventually, I may come up with a better way of doing it. But I wanted to show it to you anyway. I mean, it looks okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like the way, the amount of effort it takes to get in to make it to work properly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift over to the part I actually do like. I really like this canister filter. It works well. I ran it for a week empty. And then what I'm going to do is I had a couple of suggestions from last week's video on how to alter the flow through it. Some people thought if I put a pipe all the way from the top to the bottom that it would flow better. I think there might have been a bit of confusion there with how that works, because the water is meant to go in through the top, then go all the way down through the center, and then go through the bottom and come up the sides. And if I put a pipe to the bottom, it would totally ruin that flow. So what I've done here is I put in a bit of fish food into the intake just to show you how it all spreads around. And it does spread around quite nicely. It's not really a flow problem with any of this. It's just, I just wanted to show it to you. If I had put the pipe to the bottom, all it would do is go out the bottom and then up the sides, and it wouldn't go through any of the media. The other thing I want to do, of course, is I want to put the media in this. And as I said initially, is you can put different media in each of the chambers. I mean, to whatever you like. Lava rock, coral, bag of charcoal, whatever you like. But I didn't have any carbon that I wanted to put in this today, as I didn't have a bag for it. And I hadn't, as you can see yet, capped any of the holes to make that. So I instead just put lava rock in it all and put a sponge on the top. And it's just going to slide in on like this. And you see that gap between the inside tube and the outside tube? That is where the water goes up. And then that the pump pumps it through the center hole. And the only way it can go is down through the middle and then up through the sides and back into the tank. And here we go. I'm going to plug this in, turn it on. You can see the water filling it up. It does do really well. And I want to run this for obviously quite a while before I give you an update on it. Just to show you how it all works. So there you go. Water flows through nicely, and like I said, the water goes through every chamber, and with the sponge on the top, it does eliminate that initial just surge straight through the center. So I'm not entirely sure whether those hole reductions in the other levels will be important or not, but as this runs, I'll get a better feel for it, and I'll figure that out later on. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And as always, definitely let me know what you think of the bracket, the filter itself, and now that you see it's running. And like I said, I always try and answer all my comments. And I really like feedback because it gives me a different perspective on how it looks. I mean, I know what it looks like to me, but it's interesting to see how other people think of it. And I really do enjoy that kind of feedback. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for coming by, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.